I'm Associate Pastor Benji Lelaine of the City on a Hill Church. Do not make a vow that you cannot keep. We're going to take a look at a series of verses in Ecclesiastes chapter 5, beginning in verse 1. It says, "Walk prudently when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they do evil. Do not be rash with your mouth, and let not your heart utter anything hastily before God. For God is in heaven and you on earth. Therefore let your words be few, for a dream comes through much activity, and a fool's voice is known by his many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you have vowed. It is better not to vow than to vow and not pay. Do not let your mouth cause your flesh to sin, nor say before the messenger of God that it was an error. Why should God be angry at your excuse and destroy the work of your hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words there is also vanity, but fear God." This passage in Ecclesiastes is actually able to give a bit of an explanation and elaboration of the biblical phrase, "be quick to listen and slow to speak," from James 1 verse 19. We're instructed to obey and listen to the words and precepts that God lays out for us, as opposed to letting your words unwittingly commit you to claims you are not able to back up. We are even told in verse 6 that when we do that, our mouths will have caused us to sin. And just as importantly, we are not justified by claiming that our vow was made by a mistake. At the end of the passage, we are reminded to always fear God, and keeping our vows while making sure our words do not produce vows that we are unable to keep is a part of fearing God. There's a parable in Matthew chapter 21 called the parable of the two sons. In this parable, Jesus is telling the chief priests and elders about a man who instructed his two sons to work in his vineyard. The first son said he would not do so, but later regretted saying that and proceeded to obey his father. The second son told his father that he would obey him, but he ultimately did not do so. Anyone who has been in the same situation as the second son was likely involved in one of two scenarios. Either he lied, which we know is a sin against God, or he was rash and hasty with his words, later finding himself unable to fulfill what he said he would do, just like what we read a few moments ago. 2 Chronicles mentions that God is actively searching the whole earth for people whose hearts are loyal to him. How can we expect to show loyalty to God when our actions are unable to back up our words? You can imagine the consequences of failing to uphold a vow to a friend, a parent, or an employer. How much more respect and loyalty in this same area should we be showing to our Creator, our Provider, the one who holds our lives in his hands? God has shown throughout his word that he honors and respects those that make solemn vows to him and keeps them. I want to encourage you to be one of those people. God bless you.